Welcome to tonight's sleep story, Cradle of Silver Mist. If you'd like to skip ahead to the story, timestamps for each chapter can be found in the video description. However, if you'd like to take a moment to unwind and prepare your mind for the gentle journey ahead, stay with me. This story takes you to the moon's tranquil valley of Lunavestra, where silver mist unveils serene sanctuaries filled with glowing trees, soothing melodies, and constellations that sing softly in the night. Together, we'll step into a magical realm designed to lull you into a deep, restful sleep. Let's begin by creating a cozy space for yourself. Adjust your pillow. Let your body sink into your mattress and feel the soft weight of your blankets wrapping you in warmth. Allow yourself to settle fully, letting go of the day's worries. This is your time to rest, to be cared for, and to let the gentle whispers of the silver mist guide you into peace. Take a deep breath in through your nose, letting the air fill your chest and flow gently into your belly. Now exhale slowly through your mouth, releasing the air like a soft sigh. With every inhale, imagine the moonlight filling you with calm, and with every exhale, let the weight of the day drift away. Let's take a few more breaths together, in and out, letting your body grow softer, lighter, and more at ease with every breath. If your mind begins to wander, know that it's perfectly okay. Let those thoughts float by, like the mist drifting through the valley in our story. Bring your focus back to the soothing rhythm of your breath or the gentle cadence of my voice. You are safe here, in this moment, ready to embark on a tranquil journey. When you're ready, let's step together into the silver mist. Chapter 1. The Whispering Veil. Elara stood at the edge of the valley, the silvery mist flowing in slow, hypnotic waves before her. The air was cool and soft against her skin, carrying with it a subtle hum, like the faint echo of a lullaby long forgotten. She paused, the stillness around her inviting her to linger, as though the valley itself were asking her to take her time. Moonlight spilled generously over the landscape, turning everything it touched into shades of gentle silver and pale gray. With a deep breath, Elara stepped forward, her boots making no sound against the velvety ground. The mist curled around her, not in an oppressive way, but like a friendly guide offering to lead her deeper into its mysteries. As she walked, she noticed how the world beyond the mist seemed to soften, as if time itself had slowed down. The whispers grew clearer, not words exactly, but tones and notes that seemed to soothe her restless mind. Her path wound gently downward, each step leading her into a world that felt both ancient and freshly dreamed into being. Soon, she came upon a grove of luminous trees. Their trunks shimmered faintly in the moonlight, and their branches reached skyward like delicate fingers tracing invisible patterns. Each leaf glowed faintly, their edges outlined in silver, and as they swayed in the quiet breeze, they emitted a soft, harmonious vibration. Elara stopped beneath one of the trees, placing her hand gently on its smooth bark. The vibrations traveled through her fingertips, spreading warmth through her hands and up her arms, She closed her eyes, letting the sensation ease away the tension she hadn't realized she was carrying. Beneath the trees, small flowers bloomed in shades of soft lavender and pale blue. Elara knelt, brushing her fingers lightly over the petals, marveling at their silk-like texture. They exhaled a faint fragrance, a blend of something sweet and woody, like a memory of comfort that hovered just out of reach. As she lingered, a soft melody began to form, rising from the flowers and merging with the trees' vibrations. It wasn't music in the traditional sense, but a gentle hum that filled her with an inexplicable sense of belonging. When Elara finally opened her eyes, the mist seemed to shimmer with approval, parting slightly to reveal more of the path ahead. She took a step back, her heart lighter than it had been in ages. The grove seemed to hum its farewell as she walked on, her pace unhurried. The silver mist swirled gently around her once more, its whispering tones blending into a soothing chorus that encouraged her to keep moving deeper into its embrace. Whatever lay ahead, Elara felt certain it would be as kind and welcoming as the grove she was leaving behind. Chapter 2. The Moonlit Mirror. The path Elara followed was barely visible, its edges blurred by the shifting mist. Yet, the further she walked, the more she noticed a faint glow ahead, a gentle radiance that pulsed with quiet assurance. She let the light guide her steps, its soft brilliance cutting through the veil of silver mist. The whispers grew softer here, their tones low and melodic, as if they were lulling not just her, but the entire valley into stillness. When she reached the source, she found herself at the edge of a wide, mirror-like pool, nestled within a hollow encircled by low, glowing stones. The water's surface was utterly still, reflecting the moonlight as if it had captured the essence of the sky. Yet, as Elara stepped closer, the reflection began to ripple, shifting and shimmering until it no longer mirrored the present world, but instead showed her something deeply familiar. She saw herself as a child, sitting by a quiet stream, her face alight with wonder as she watched the water carry away fallen leaves. The image was so vivid, so real, it was as though the pool had reached into her memory and brought forth only the gentlest of scenes. Elara crouched at the edge, drawn to the vision unfolding before her. The ripples began to change again, revealing other glimpses, moments of quiet contentment she had nearly forgotten. She saw herself lying on soft grass beneath the stars, the stillness of the night wrapping her like a warm blanket. Another ripple and she was walking through a golden field, her fingers brushing against tall, sunlit stalks. Each memory rose and fell like the rhythm of a deep breath, carrying with it a sense of peace that seeped into her chest. The whispers in the mist seemed to swell gently, and Elara leaned forward, dipping her hands into the pool. The water was cool and smooth, yet it radiated a soft warmth that spread up her arms and into her chest. It was as though the pool recognized her need for rest, soothing away the edges of weariness that had followed her for so long. She closed her eyes and let the sensation linger, her breath slowing to match the rhythm of the ripples. The mist around her grew denser, but instead of concealing the world, it felt like a protective cocoon. When Elara opened her eyes, the pool's surface had returned to its mirror-like state, showing only her reflection framed by the silver mist. She looked at herself, noticing how calm her features had become. Her shoulders, once tight with tension, had softened, and the faint crease of worry on her brow had smoothed. The sight filled her with quiet gratitude, a feeling that matched the valley's unspoken promise to provide only what she needed most. Rising to her feet, Elara turned back to the path. The stones around the pool glowed faintly as if to mark the place in her memory, a subtle reminder of the solace she had found here. The mist parted once more, beckoning her onward, the whispers folding into a gentle melody that seemed to sing her name. She took a step forward, the glow of the pool fading behind her as she continued her journey into the silver embrace of the valley. Chapter 3. The Lullaby Glade. As Elara followed the gentle incline of the path, the mist began to shift in texture, becoming lighter, almost airy. It twirled around her ankles in playful spirals before rising in tendrils that seemed to beckon her forward. The whispers grew melodic again, blending into soft hums that reminded her of a cradle song, faint yet soothing. The path widened gradually, revealing a glade bathed in a pale luminescence, its beauty both surreal and inviting. The glade was bordered by low shrubs covered in delicate blossoms of soft lavender and icy blue. These flowers pulsed faintly, as if breathing in sync with the mist. Their petals shimmered under the moon's tender light, each one carrying a subtle glow that flickered like candlelight. Elara paused at the glade's edge, her steps slowing instinctively. The air was sweeter here, carrying a scent that was floral but understated, like the softest trace of honey and freshly unfurled leaves. At the glade's center stood a cluster of taller blooms, their slender stems swaying gently in a breeze Elara couldn't feel. These blossoms, shaped like tiny bells, emitted the faintest of notes when they moved, each one contributing to a melody that was both random and harmonious. She stepped closer, drawn by the sound, her heart growing quieter with each step. The bell's song wrapped around her like a soft shawl, making the rest of the world feel distant and insignificant. Elara knelt among the blossoms, cupping one gently in her hands. The stem was cool, its texture somewhere between silk and the finest glass. The bell emitted a higher note, pure and delicate, as though responding to her touch. It seemed to resonate not just in her ears, but somewhere deeper, a sensation that spread warmth through her chest and settled like a comforting weight in her stomach. She smiled without realizing it, her mind free of any burdens for the first time in what felt like years. She settled into the soft grass at the glade's center, leaning back on her hands as the lullaby continued. Above her, the moonlight sifted through the mist, scattering like tiny stars. The flowers swayed in gentle waves now, their music softening into a quieter rhythm. Elara closed her eyes, letting herself sink into the sensations around her, the cool grass beneath her palms, the melody weaving through the stillness, the steady rise and fall of her breath. Time became unmeasurable here, stretching like the gentle arc of a drifting cloud. Elara let her mind wander without direction, following the rise and fall of the bell-like notes. They reminded her of simpler days, of moments spent sitting by windows as the rain fell, or lying in meadows while sunlight warmed her skin. Those memories felt distant, yet deeply familiar, like a lullaby she had always known but forgotten until now. When the melody softened to near silence, Elara opened her eyes slowly. The glade remained luminous, though the flowers now swayed less often, their bells ringing only faintly as though encouraging her to move on. She rose, her steps unhurried, her body lighter than before. The mist gathered again, its tendrils reaching out to guide her back to the path. The glade's song lingered faintly in her ears, like a memory she could carry with her as she walked further into the valley's embrace. Chapter 4. The Cradle of Stars. The path wound deeper into the valley, narrowing as the mist grew denser, its soft tendrils brushing against Elara's arms like a silken veil. Each step she took felt lighter, as though the earth beneath her was carrying her forward with gentle ease. The whispers in the mist had faded to a near silence, replaced by an occasional chime, faint but clear, echoing in the stillness. Ahead, a faint glow emerged, a soft radiance that flickered like a lantern hidden behind gauzy curtains. When Elara reached the source of the light, the mist parted to reveal an open hollow, wide and perfectly round. The ground here was smooth and silvery, almost glass-like, reflecting the faint glimmer of 1,000 tiny motes of light suspended in the air. They floated lazily, shifting and spinning in a rhythm so subtle it seemed to mimic the steady beat of her own heart. Together, the lights formed constellations that shifted gently, rearranging themselves as though tracing unseen stories in the air. Stepping into the hollow, Elara felt the air change. It was cooler here, but not unpleasantly so, carrying with it a faint metallic scent, like dew on polished stone. The lights, she realized, weren't distant stars, but something closer, each mote no larger than a raindrop. She held out her hand, and one drifted down to rest on her palm. It was warm and weightless, its glow pulsing faintly, as though it recognized her presence. The constellation above her rearranged itself, the motes gathering into a pattern that resembled a tree with gently curving branches. As she watched, the image shifted again, becoming a crescent moon cradled by soft waves. Each form was soothing, drawing her focus not with urgency, but with an invitation to simply observe. The lights moved without haste, their dance both deliberate and unhurried, like the ebb and flow of the tide. Elara sank to the hollow surface, crossing her legs as she let the constellations unfold above her. She traced their movements with her eyes, her breathing slowing to match their rhythm. The motes closest to her began to hum faintly, their tones blending together like a celestial choir singing a lullaby just for her. The sound resonated in her chest, steady and grounding, as though the valley itself was cradling her in its embrace. Time felt suspended, her thoughts drifting as freely as the lights. The motes swirled closer now, surrounding her in a shimmering cocoon. Their gentle hum grew quieter, but more intimate, as though they were whispering directly to her. She closed her eyes, leaning into their presence, feeling not alone but connected to something vast and infinite. It wasn't a grand revelation or a moment of epiphany, just a quiet understanding that she was safe, held, and exactly where she needed to be. When Elara finally rose, the lights parted, their hum fading back into the quiet. The path beyond the hollow reappeared, its edges glowing faintly to guide her onward. She lingered a moment, looking back at the constellations one last time. They seemed to pause, forming a single shape, a crescent moon surrounded by stars, before returning to their gentle dance. With a deep breath, Elara turned and stepped back into the mist, the cradle of stars fading behind her like a dream that would linger long after waking. Chapter 5. The Silver Embrace. The path grew softer under Elara's feet, the ground beneath her no longer firm but pillowy, as if the mist itself had risen to cradle her steps. The whispers had returned, faint and tender, blending with a distant melody that seemed to flow from the heart of the valley. The air felt different here, warmer, richer, filled with a deep stillness that invited her to slow down even further. She followed the gentle glow ahead, her steps unhurried, as though the valley itself was guiding her toward something final, something deeply comforting. Through the mist, a towering silhouette emerged, a tree unlike any Elara had ever seen. Its trunk was wide and luminous, its bark shimmering with a soft glow of moonlight reflected on still water. The branches stretched high into the misty sky, their edges adorned with tiny silver leaves that tinkled faintly as they swayed, creating a sound like the softest wind chimes. The ground beneath the tree was covered in a blanket of velvety moss, its color a pale silver green that shimmered faintly underfoot. Elara stepped closer, the whispers growing quieter, as though inviting her to listen instead to the tree's presence. She reached out, placing her hand on the trunk. It was warm, and its surface pulsed faintly, as though the tree had a heartbeat of its own. The sensation flowed into her hand, spreading warmth through her chest and down to her toes. She closed her eyes, letting herself lean against the tree, feeling it support her like a lifelong friend offering an embrace. The whispers softened into silence, and for a moment there was only the faint hum of the tree and the gentle sound of the leaves above her. Elara opened her eyes, and the mist began to part in waves, revealing the tree's roots. They curled and twisted in intricate patterns, creating a cradle-like hollow at the tree's base. The moss covering the hollow shimmered invitingly, and without hesitation Elara stepped into it, sinking down into the tree's embrace. The moss beneath her was impossibly soft, conforming to her body as if it had been waiting for her. The warmth from the tree wrapped around her like a blanket, soothing every muscle, every thought. The faint melody returned, not from the mist but from the tree itself, a low, resonant hum that seemed to align perfectly with her breath. She let herself sink deeper into the moss, her eyes drifting closed as the melody grew quieter, lulling her into a state of perfect stillness. Time dissolved into the tree's rhythm, each breath slow and steady, each note of the melody a gentle reassurance. Memories of the valley's wonders, the glowing pool, the singing flowers, the shifting constellations, floated through her mind like clouds, light and unburdened. Each one seemed to blend with the tree's warmth, weaving itself into a final, unshakable sense of peace. As Elara lay cradled in the hollow, the mist began to close around her once more, forming a cocoon of soft light and warmth. The whispers returned, their tones faint but familiar, carrying the same gentle melodies she had heard throughout her journey. They didn't ask for her attention this time, but instead sang her into a deep, dreamless sleep. The valley's embrace was complete now, holding her as tenderly as the mist had held every secret it carried. The tree's glow softened, its branches swaying in a rhythm that matched the faint rise and fall of Elara's breath. The whispers faded into silence, and the valley fell still. The moonlight, steady and eternal, washed over the tree and the sleeping figure beneath it, as if to stand watch. Somewhere beyond the mist, a new whisper began, carrying a melody as soft and timeless as the silver embrace of the valley itself.